In 2022, two college students from Jakarta, Raffi Akbar and Wulan Devi, vanished in the town of Bandung, West Java. They had been investigating a disbanded cult once active in the 1990s, Anak Api, Children of Flame. Locals believed the cult worshipped an entity they called Senyum Naraka, the Hell Smile. Their last known location? An abandoned mansion hidden in the forested hills, Villa Ananta, long rumored to be the site of human sacrifices. And according to police reports, they had brought with them a devil Labubu doll. The doll belonged to Wulan. She had bought it from a second-hand shop in Surabaya, still sealed in a black plastic box with red wax seals. The store owner warned her. It was traded for 3 antique coins. The man who brought it said it made the fire talk. He died 3 days later. The devil Labubu was jet black, with deep crimson horns and eyes that shimmered like embers. Its smile was wider than normal, too wide, and its hands were molded in a strange gesture, 2 fingers pointed down, thumbs crossed. Raffi thought it was cool. Wulan said it made her feel watched. Still, she brought it to Villa Ananta for content. The gates creaked open at dusk. The villa was crumbling, vines crawling across burnt walls, windows shattered, the air heavy with ash. The fireplace in the main room looked untouched. But above it hung a mural, faded, scorched, of a grinning horned figure with hundreds of Labubu-like eyes. Beneath it, smile for the flame and the flame will smile back. They set up a single camera on a tripod and lit a lantern. Wulan placed the devil Labubu on the mantel. At exactly 3:11 a.m., the footage later revealed this. The lantern flickered. A tack-tack-tack sound emerged, not from the walls, but from inside the fireplace. And behind the doll, a flicker of red light, like breathing embers. Police were alerted when a live stream on Wulan's Instagram abruptly cut off mid-scream. When they arrived 48 hours later, the house was scorched. In the fireplace, they found Raffi's camera. It had melted, but the SD card miraculously survived. Here's what they saw on the final footage. Recovered footage log. 2:38 a.m. Wulan is pacing. She says she smells sulfur. Raffi jokes that it's just rats rotting. Wulan begins murmuring strange words in old Javanese. She claims she's not saying them. Something inside her mouth is. The devil Labubu moves. Not dramatically, just a tilt of the head. No one touches it. The fireplace ignites on its own, bright, violent. In the flames, a shape begins to emerge, a face, grinning. Too many teeth, too many eyes. Wulan walks into the fire, without screaming. She kneels inside the flame, places the devil Labubu beside her, and smiles. Her skin blisters, blackens, sloughs off. But she never stops smiling. Raffi screams, tries to pull her out, but the fire doesn't burn him. It burns his shadow. The last frame shows his face distorting, his mouth opening too wide. He begins chewing, on his own tongue, then static. Post-investigation notes, Wulan's body was never recovered. There were no remains in the fireplace, just ashes shaped like a child's jaw. But the devil Labubu doll was found intact, perfect, unscorched. It was taken into police evidence, but during the first night in lockup, the officer on duty died of asphyxiation. He had stuffed his own mouth full of charcoal and candle wax, according to autopsy. On the security footage, at exactly 3:11 a.m., the lights flickered, and the sound began. Tech, 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 followed by laughter. A year later, an urban explorer named Indra Mulyadi broke into Villa Ananta to film a ghost hunting vlog. He found something buried beneath the hearthstone, a rusted tin box. Inside was a diary. Her final entries were manic, burned at the edges, scribbled in different handwriting. One passage stood out. It smiles in fire. It smiles through me. The doll is not the devil. It's a mouthpiece. When I sleep, it chews. When I wake, I feel it swallowing something small inside me. The smile is a door, a burning gate, and every 3:11 a.m. I hear it say, "One more tooth and I'll be whole." Indra uploaded only part of the video. The rest was blocked by platform filters, tagged as extreme self-harm. In the unseen clip, Indra is seen screaming as the devil Labubu appears in multiple spots around the room. Each time the camera pans, it's moved, closer. He begins tearing at his lips, screaming that his smile is too small, until he rips it open with a shard of glass. The camera falls, and then the chewing begins. Tack, tack, tack. In the final frame, something crawls into view. A small hand, plastic fingers, melted horns. It reaches toward the lens, smiling. In October 2023, Clara Wijaya, 26, moved into apartment 7F of the Amarta residence in Jakarta. She had just broken up with her longtime fiancé, needed space, peace, solitude. Amarta was perfect. Quiet, safe, cheap, too cheap. The previous tenant, a college student named Melvin Sutanto, had vanished 2 months earlier, left his furniture, his clothes, even his shoes, but no note, no evidence of a break-in. Just gone. Clara didn't care. She needed the apartment. She signed the lease and moved in that same day. On her second night, Clara heard a knock at the door. It was the building's security guard, Paxino, holding a small white box. No label. "I think this was meant for the previous tenant," he said, "but it was left in the mailroom with your unit number." Inside was a Labubu doll. Not just any. This one had manic red eyes, flared arms, and electric yellow fur like it had been struck by lightning. There was no note, no order history in Melvin's name, but the box was new. Clara almost threw it out. But something about the face, the crazy joy in its expression, made her laugh. She put it on top of the fridge and forgot about it for a while. By day 4, strange things started happening. Her microwave would turn itself on, especially at night. Her fridge magnet words rearranged themselves into phrases like, "Look closer," "Sing for the static." She blamed sleepwalking, stress, anything. But the most disturbing part, every night at 3:11 a.m., she woke up to a faint tack-tack-tack sound, like chewing, coming from the kitchen. Always the kitchen. She would stumble out of bed, half asleep, and find the microwave door open, the Labubu doll sitting upright still, but sometimes facing a different direction than before. On day 6, Clara set up her phone to record the kitchen overnight. What she saw the next morning made her vomit. 3:10 a.m., the kitchen is still. Lights flicker. 3:11 a.m., the Labubu leans forward unaided and taps the fridge with its fingers. Tack, tack. Then it turns, jerky, unnatural, and stares directly into the phone. Its mouth widens slightly. And worst, behind the doll, the microwave flickers with movement, like something crawling inside it. When Clara opened the microwave later, she found a clump of hair inside. Human hair. She threw the doll in the trash chute immediately. The next morning, it was back, sitting on the fridge, same position, same crazed face. Only now, its fur was slightly singed, and that night, the chewing was louder. So loud that Clara covered her ears and sobbed in her bed until she fell asleep out of sheer terror. When she awoke the next day, her front door was wide open, but all the locks were still engaged from the inside. Desperate, Clara did some digging. She found Melvin's public Instagram still up, filled with gaming clips and memes. But in the highlights section was one unlabeled story. A shaky video of him laughing, holding the exact same frenzied Labubu doll, with the caption, "Gonna start live streaming from 7F? This thing is freaking cursed." It was posted 3 days before his disappearance. She messaged his old friend. The reply came at 2:58 a.m. "We begged him to throw it out. He kept hearing chewing too. Said he had a static thing in his head. Last thing he texted me? It's burning me when I smile." That night, Clara unplugged all her appliances, lit candles, and surrounded the doll with salt. She stayed awake, filming it on her laptop. For 11 a.m., the chewing returned, but now from inside the walls. The paint bubbled, the plaster cracked. And then, Clara began smiling uncontrollably, like her face didn't belong to her anymore. Her jaw locked in place, twitching, bleeding. In the footage, she can be seen screaming behind her smile, unable to open her mouth. The Labubu doll, it stood up on its own, legs stiff, twitching, and turned toward her. In a panic, Clara fled her apartment and ran to the front desk. Paxeno was gone, but there was someone else. A middle-aged woman sitting silently in the lobby chair, eyes blackened with age. She looked up at Clara and whispered, "Did it chew yet? Did it burn behind your eyes?" Clara backed away, but the woman stood and said something she'll never forget. "Don't smile at it. It's learning from you." The next evening, Clara returned with a priest and a local shaman. They blessed the space, burned incense, chanting filled the air. Nothing happened until 3:11 a.m. The apartment lights exploded. The fire alarm blared, but there was no smoke, and the doll was gone. Clara's laptop was recording the whole time. In the footage, the doll vanishes at 3:10 a.m. One frame it's there, the next it's not. And then a new message appears on her microwave screen, as if typed letter by letter. The room is mine now. Clara moved out the next morning. She's never returned to a MARTA residence, but according to local sources, every new tenant of Unit 7F has moved out within 2 weeks. Some say they hear chewing. One tenant, a young man named Andre, posted a TikTok showing a Labubu doll dancing by itself on top of a fridge. He disappeared 2 days later. The apartment is now locked by building management. But when the cleaning lady entered a month later, she found only one thing in the kitchen: a Labubu doll. Frenzied eyes, tiny bloodstains on its feet, and the words scratched into the wall behind the fridge: I watch how you smile, I learn, I become. Michelle Tan, a 38-year-old mother of 2, had never even heard of Labubu dolls, but her 10-year-old daughter Kira wouldn't stop begging for one, specifically the exciting macaron version. She showed Michelle photos: pastel fur, mischievous grin, huge ears. It's super rare, Kira squealed. There's only a few real ones left. Michelle relented. Found one online from a collector in Bekasi. Expensive but authentic. It arrived in a glass display case with a faint smell of plastic and something else. Burnt sugar? Kira screamed in delight. Michelle didn't like its face. It wasn't cute, it was smug, watching. But it made her daughter happy. Until it didn't. It started small. Kira stopped eating with the family, stayed up late, sitting on her bed and whispering into thin air. Her baby brother Max cried whenever he entered her room. And once during dinner, Kira suddenly said, You can't touch him now. He's watching me smile. Michelle was watching you. Kira didn't blink, just giggled. The one in the middle. He eats the rest. That night, Michelle stood outside Kira's room and heard it. A faint tack-tack, like chewing, coming from the Labubu doll's glass case. 3:11 a.m. On the 7th night, Michelle jolted awake. 3:11 a.m. Burning plastic smell. Baby Max screaming from his crib. When she rushed in, she found Kira already in the nursery, standing by the crib, smiling too wide. The Labubu doll was in her arms. How did that get in here? Michelle demanded. Kira blinked slowly. He wanted to see the baby, but he says Max is too noisy. Maybe he'll bite his tongue out. Michelle snatched the doll and stuffed it in the linen closet. But at 3:11 a.m. the next night, it was back in Kira's bed. Michelle started asking around. She found 2 other parents on the Mom Life WhatsApp group who mentioned strange things. One said her son had also wanted an exciting macaron Labubu. 2 weeks later, he started drawing pictures of their family without eyes. Another mom, Fira, had moved out of the neighborhood after her daughter disappeared from their locked home in the middle of the night. Her only message before she vanished? I saw his ears behind the curtains. Michelle's heart dropped. All the stories had one date in common. The first incident always happened within 72 hours of receiving the doll. It had been 4 days since Kira got hers. Kira's smile changed. It was always on her face now, even when she was asleep. And it wasn't joyful. It was stretched, straining her skin, cracking at the corners. Michelle took her to a pediatrician. They called it stress-related, recommended less screen time. But Michelle knew something else was wrong. One night, she walked past Kira's room and froze. In the moonlight, she saw Kira sitting up, face inches from the Labubu doll, whispering, I'll bite them too if it makes you stay. I'll chew their smiles off. The next morning, Michelle found a bite mark on her own arm. She had no memory of it. Michelle set up a hidden baby cam in Kira's room. The footage from 3:11 a.m. showed Kira sitting upright in bed, completely still. The Labubu doll falling forward on its own, then rolling upright again. Kira laughing silently, and then her voice whispering, Yes, I'll give her now. Take the baby first. Michelle pulled the camera from the socket and smashed it. That night, she locked herself, Kira, and Max in her bedroom, just in case. But the next morning, Max was covered in scratch marks. And Kira, still smiling, still watching. Michelle finally called the collector she bought the doll from. He picked up on the first ring. She screamed, What the hell did you sell me? The man was quiet, then said, You didn't burn the case, did you? What? The glass traps it. You open the case, it remembers smiles. It wants to learn until it replaces. Then he hung up. Michelle opened her closet. The doll was no longer inside. The next 24 hours were chaos. Michelle brought Kira to her mother's house, left the doll behind, hoped distance would help. But that night at 3:11 a.m., her mother called screaming. Kira had torn all the photos off the walls and was found standing in the hallway with a knife, smiling. And in her bed, the Labubu doll, even though Michelle had left it at home. Michelle decided there was only one way to end this. She doused the doll in gasoline and burned it in the backyard fire pit. It screamed. Not a toy noise, a shrill, high-pitched shriek that left her ears ringing. The fire burned blue for a moment, and when it was over, only its teeth remained. Michelle thought it was done, until the next morning. Kira's smile had vanished, but now Max was smiling that same stretched, painful grin, and his first words of the day, tack, tack, tack. A month later, Michelle moved to another province. No dolls, no toys, nothing with a face, but at night she hears it in the walls, chewing, and one morning she found Kira in the hallway again, drawing in red crayon, a picture of their family, mouths erased. When Michelle asked her why, she said, "He said we shouldn't smile without him. It makes him jealous." That night, she smelled burnt sugar, and her microwave screen blinked for the first time in weeks. Just one line of text, "I become you next."
Tack, tack, tack.